This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Welcome to it. It is a Travel Tuesday on the After Party Live, and you are here with me, Kim McAllister, following the Mark Thompson Show, and the show happens every day right about the time the Mark Thompson Show ends to whenever we're done, a little after 2 o'clock. Aim for an hour, sometimes miss it by a little, sometimes overshoot it, but it's always right in there. I don't know why I'm going on about this. Hey, everybody. Yesterday, I was in a car with my daughter driving around, and let me tell you, the loss of control that I felt was serious business. It was difficult to be in the passenger seat trying to make sure that your daughter stays in the lines on the road. That was the first day of driving. So interesting, and I'm sure I'll have many more stories coming up. But yeah, we went through the car wash for the first time, taught her how to line the wheel up there, drove around town. So yeah, interesting. Judy's sipping on the tea. Thank you. I love that. Got my Coachella Valley tea. I'm drinking the vanilla today, but they have some great summer flavors. I mentioned the mango. Is it mango? Hibiscus orange. That's what it is. Sorry, I got mango on the brains. You'll see why in just a minute. Hibiscus orange sun tea. Huge tea bag you can put outside and let seep. And oh, it's so good. So good. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. You know, they don't advertise on this show, so I wouldn't mention it if I didn't really love it and believe in it. Yeah, looking at you guys chatting, love seeing everybody chit-chatting. Kim, wait until you're in a Waymo or a Tesla. Yeah, I know that this is the way of the future, and I know that I've had friends that have taken, Mark has taken the Waymo around San Francisco. I just, I guess I'm not averse to it, I should say. But yeah, it gives me the creeps just a little bit. I don't know. Viewfinder says rent one of those cars with a duplicate brake pedal on the passenger side. She wasn't so bad at braking. She stops way behind the stop sign line. Like we're stopping a car length early. We got to work on that a little bit. And she drives a little too far over to the right. So I'm looking at parked cars on the side of the road and we're coming a little too close. So we need to work on our lane placement. But overall, I was pretty impressed. I think she did a lot better than I did on my first day driving. So now you know how your parents felt. Exactly. Hi, Nullifidian. Oh, Wes, that's so horrible. The lost wallet, it's a panic because then you don't know, does someone have your stuff, right? You have to go through with the hassle of canceling everything and then waiting to get everything back. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Please don't worry about this. The show is crowdfunded, and Wes is talking about that. But that should be the last thing on your mind, my friend. I appreciate you always thinking of helping keep these shows on the air and making sure that we have enough to keep going. And I appreciate that very much. You'll find the PayPal information in the show description and in the About tab. And thank you to everyone who crowdfunds the show and helps us keep going. Vicky S. has a recurring PayPal payment that came through. Thank you, Vicky. And Alicia P. Wes from yesterday, Amy P. Meredith D. Thank you so much to everyone who contributes and who emails in stories and ideas and thoughts. And I just appreciate all the messages. All right, let's jump in and get some of the stories that we have ready to roll. This one really struck my fancy. This is a fox that has a hankering for some shoes. As a matter of fact, this fox is wanted. And it's not for a pair of shoes. It's for many, many shoes. This fox is a shoe bandit. This is in the Grand Tetons. And campers are really caught surprised when they wake up and their shoes are absolutely gone. The fox has made the Grand Tetons most wanted list for the shoe theft. Yeah. It's happening at a campground in the Grand Teton National Park. At least 32 shoes have been stolen so far, prompting this wanted poster. and the fox going on the most wanted list. Here's the shoes. And I think he's got a hankering for Crocs, I would say. Looks like. Although you see some sandals, some flip-flops, there's some tennis shoes back there. Earlier I saw some boots that this creature has taken. Yeah, little foxy. Look at you. It's become such a problem, though, at the Grand Teton campground that now they are thinking, the officials there, the park rangers, that maybe there's more than one fox involved in doing this. Maybe it's a shoe theft ring among the foxes. They're not sure why the fox or foxes started taking away shoes at the Lizard Creek campground. Maybe they like the scent of the feet. They don't know. Maybe a little mischief. Maybe, you know, they're fun to chew on. Who knows? But it's a big enough problem that there are posters, again, that we just showed here again. There it is. The wanted for grand theft footwear posters. They're putting these all along the Grand Teton campground so people are aware. They say it's a lighthearted way to remind park visitors of a serious matter, keeping wildlife wild and people safe. The sign grabbing, attention grabbing signs, I should say, have been posted in the area asking people to store their shoes and their other belongings inside their vehicles, inside bear boxes, or occupied tents. Now, I would have maybe put food in the bear boxes. Shoes? I wouldn't have thought. So, does that mean all of your clothes maybe smell a little funky? You're got to put your underwear and your shoes in the bear box? I don't know. Wildlife managers say they've documented a fox in the area. It's a colored fox, but they still don't know how many foxes are responsible. They don't know when the shoes are being taken. There's no way to know why they're doing this. They say some foxes are naturally curious, and folks that have studied canines, coyotes, and other creatures say they're not surprised to hear that these foxes are making off with shoes, that canines will carry strange things back to their den to chew on. And maybe a mother fox might haul things back to her den for her kits to play with. They don't know. There are all kinds of things that have been spotted in coyote dens as well. So maybe they think of the shoes as toys? I don't know. It's so weird, though, that the fox would come and steal your shoes. It's habitually full of people, this campground. And so the thinking is, well, maybe they're food conditioned, so they come into the campgrounds and they just see other stuff that they want to take. Yeah. The reminder is that if you are at a national park or wherever, to try and stay at least 100 yards away from bears and wolves, 25 yards away from other creatures, including foxes. And they say if a fox or some other creature comes too close, you can try to spook it away. If it gets too close, clap your hands, make noise, encourage it to leave. They don't want them to be conditioned to people. They want the wildlife to stay wild. So, the wanted poster, a great way to remind people that you're going to lose your shoes in the Grand Tetons. Speaking of animals, look at this snake. Snake on a train this time instead of a plane. This happened in Illinois. Firefighters had to rescue or corral, I guess you could say, this escaped snake that was on a train in a Chicago suburb. It was on a commuter train. This ball python, it slithered into a control box panel on the train. So firefighters were called out to the Green Line for assistance in securing this pet ball python snake. Its name is Lucius. Lucius. It got away from its owner, made its way into this control box panel aboard the train. The firefighters, never a dull day at the fire department. They say they were able to open the box, secure the snake, and return Lucius to a very appreciative pirate, his owner. They say it was not a typical rescue, but it was a very memorable rescue. And it looks like everybody on the train okay as well. Yeah. You don't want to see your pet python and get away. I don't know if it was someone that maybe carried the python onto the train or if it just somehow slithered on there by itself. No. We talked about this before, but today is the day. It is an historic, scientifically short day. It'll happen again in August, but because of the moon's position, the Earth is rotating just over a millisecond faster than usual. Happens on a few days this summer, including today. So, on July 22nd, that's today, and again on August 5th, the Earth will spin a little more than a millisecond faster than usual. So today is predicted to be 1.34 milliseconds short of the standard 24 hours. So if you thought there weren't enough seconds in the day, you're right. You're missing 1.34 milliseconds today. August 5th may be 1.25 milliseconds shorter. The shortest day of the year, though, they think it will be July 10th, which is 1.36 milliseconds shorter. That's 0.02 milliseconds shorter than today. They figure all these things out by using clocks to keep technologies like computers and GPS systems and large telescopes accurate. So it might not really mean much to us. We're not going to notice a few milliseconds here or there, right? No. But the shorter day lengths are happening because the moon will be at its farthest angle from the equator today and on the rest of the days that are super short, which weakens the impact of its gravity on Earth. So, other days when the moon is directly in line with the equator, it pulls the tides on the Earth more strongly, slowing the spin just a bit. But in this case, the moon's distance is causing the Earth to rotate slightly faster. The changes in the times and the tides are seasonal. The shortest days of the year tend to fall in the summers around July and August, so that fits. But they say the moon isn't the only thing responsible for affecting the way our Earth spins. That climate change and the way the inner core spins as well also play a role. So trying to figure out between all of these contributing factors exactly why can be a little difficult for scientists. They say the rotation of the Earth has sped up and has slowed down at different times throughout history. For the last few years, scientists have measured a quickening, but they say that's probably not going to last. They think the Earth will slow down again, a deceleration, but there's risk that acceleration may be effective for a few decades. So it's kind of the pendulum swinging back and forth. Yeah. The problem is how we keep our timekeeping, right? Sometimes they add a leap second to the coordinated universal time so that the clocks will stay aligned with the Earth's rotation. Since 1972, 27 leap seconds have been added. The last one came in 2016. But now that we have more advanced technology, they say we won't need to do that anymore. We are retiring the leap second, or we're supposed to, by 2035. Because now atomic clocks and computer networks have a far superior form of time management. That we're forcing them to keep in sync with the older form of measurement. But some researchers are considering removing a second from the universal time clock sometime around 2029. That has not been done before. A negative leap has never been added or tested. So the worry is that it could create problems that we won't realize until it's too late. No. time and the way the earth moves. Speaking of tides and movement and the moon, we had some king tides overnight. Big warning for Northern California for possible flooding along the coast with king tides. That was in place, I believe, from last night around 7 p.m. until midnight. Finally, some good news for teenagers. Teens beat AI at an international math competition. Yay for the humans! For the first time ever, AI models achieved prestigious gold level scores at the International Mathematics Olympiad. That is one of the most important, prestigious math competitions. But they still can't beat a really smart teenager. Can't do it. Apparently, complex math is one of AI's biggest hurdles, which surprised me because you would think computing, numbers, right and wrong answers, formulas, like that would be the computer or the AI's specialty, right? But I guess teenagers still have it going on. Mm. That's because there are so many ways to analyze. The AI doesn't possess logic capabilities required to handle complicated mathematical prompts because math prompts usually don't have multiple possible answers, only a single correct solution. So they say a pocket calculator will give you the objectively true answer by multiplying two numbers, but ChatGPT might still offer you an answer that's similar but not quite right. And they've looked at this International Math Olympiad as one of the events for human math whizzes, that many mathematicians might need longer than the time that they're allotted to answer just one of the problems given. Most of us, I'll sign myself up for this, wouldn't be able to answer any of them at all. But in Australia, they hosted the 66th annual uh, International Math Olympiad. 641 teenagers from 112 countries met. Happened on July 15th. They were given 6 questions and they had a little less than 4.5 hours to get that work done. But they had some competition. AI reasoning models from both Google and OpenAI. And while the bots did well, and both companies say they scored high enough to earn gold medals, each AI managed to solve 5 of the 6 problems within the time limit, earning 35 out of the maximum 42 possible points. This year, only about 10% of human entrants received a gold level score, like the bots. Big improvement for the Google AI. I don't know. Still, the humans did pretty well. Yeah. Beat the bots. We like it. Like it when the humans win. I'm a fan. Good job, teenies. If you're having trouble sleeping, how about changing up your diet? A lot of people think, well, put down your phone, don't look, at a certain kind of light, don't keep a TV in your bedroom, relax yourself, drink warm milk or tea or whatever it is, or why have a system, to wind down your thoughts and your thinking, meditate, all of these things. Well, a lot of people don't think diet could have anything to do with it, but there's a top nutrition researcher in the United States who says, no, there's a connection between diet and better sleep and better heart health. Her name is Marie-Pierre Saint-Onge. She's a professor of nutritional medicine at Columbia University Medical Center in New York. And she's out with this new cookbook working with a recipe expert. They have dozens of recipes. They have a 28-day meal plan that's all designed for better sleep health. It's called Eat Better, Sleep Better. The researcher there has published studies exploring angles of the connection between the things we eat and the kind of sleep we get. It's a field of study that she says really needs a lot more work. But doctors have named lack of proper sleep as one of the top risk factors for heart disease. We've talked about it here. And so the study examines the relationship between sleep, weight management, and cardiometabolic disease risk. Also, taking a look at functional foods, foods that offer health benefits, and how ingredients can affect weight management and cardiovascular disease risk prevention. So, this is a cookbook, Eat Better, Sleep Better, with 75 recipes meant to give you an opportunity to shape your diet around foods that promote better sleep. The and this makes sense to me because you always get really tired after at the end of Thanksgiving after the big meal where everyone kind of settles back and takes a nap. So the research shows that foods rich in tryptophan, which is the amino acid that serves as the building block for the sleep regulating hormones melatonin and serotonin, are very helpful. Tryptophan, found in turkey, famous for producing the drowsiness after Thanksgiving dinner, yes. But they also highlight several other ingredients tied to healthier sleep. Omega-3 fatty acids, found in things like salmon, complex carbohydrates, found in oats and buckwheat, and spices like ginger and turmeric. So they have all kinds of recipes featuring these things. They have chia pudding because they say the tiny chia seeds are a sleep supporting superfood, rich in protein and tryptophan, but also omega 3 and omega 6 fatty acids, magnesium, fiber, complex carbohydrates. It goes on. So the effort is to translate the research into a more popular format where people can actually use the things that she says she's uncovered. She says, we do all this work and we always publish it in these scientific journals. And she said her book agent said, but the public needs to know this too. So it should be something that's available for people. And she said, I thought, well, the agent kind of has a point. We need to disseminate the work that we do and the findings that we have in a way where people can actually use them. So enter this cookbook. If you're saying eat more plant protein or eat more fiber, people ask, where can I find fiber and plant protein? And I'll say, well, buckwheat is a great grain. Buckwheat, people say, what's that? And how am I going to use that in my diet? So she joins with this recipe expert and they put together the 75 recipes in this book. She says there's a need for sleep-centered cookbooks because it's not just what's eaten before bedtime that affects the quality of sleep, but what's consumed throughout your whole entire day and over longer periods as well that counts in the body's ability to make melatonin. She says sleep is complicated. It's not just about what happens at night, it's about what happens during the day as well. And that's really a whole different way to look at sleep, right? I don't know. Part of me thinks if you're so preoccupied with getting a good sleep that you're worried about it all day and you're making all these changes all day, you become, obsessed with sleep instead of just easing it up and not stressing about it and letting it happen. Now, I don't know. This comes from a problem with someone that doesn't have a sleep issue, though, right? The American Heart Association added sleep to its list of life's essential 8, the 8 top markers for improving and maintaining cardiovascular health, calling proper sleep vital to your heart and brain health. So I can see why people get sidetracked thinking about sleep. and it could come down to diet. It is a weird and interesting story. Maybe finally some answers as well. It's a human skull. Well, it's I don't want to say human, a hybrid skull, perhaps? This these remains have confused archaeologists for a long time. And now the thinking is they might know why. It's possible that this child's skull, 140,000 years old, may be a human Neanderthal hybrid. This is according to new CT scans and models. Parts of this 140,000-year-old skull resemble those of modern humans, but the jaw appears more Neanderthalish. So perhaps this is the link that we find between our two species. They published a study last week in the journal L'Anthropologie, where researchers analyzed fragments of skull 1. That's what they call the remains here that likely belong to a female child between the ages of 3 and 5 years old. They recognize this skull as a modern human. It's classified Homo sapien, but it does, they admit, have some Neanderthal-like features. So they studied it again, and now they say this child might have been a hybrid, potentially had one Homo sapien parent and one Neanderthal parent. They looked at CT scans of this child's neurocranium and the jaw, and they compared the 3D models to remains of other Homo sapiens and Neanderthal children. And they found the neurocranium, the brain case, to be more similar to that of a modern human, but the jaw more similar to that of a Neanderthal. That suggests that this child is a hybrid. In the middle of the Pleistocene, the Levant was the crossroad of gene flows between indigenous lineages and other taxa from Africa and Eurasia, likely the explanation for Skull 1. And that aligns with genetic evidence indicating modern humans and Neanderthals didn't just cross paths. Actually, we interbred for thousands of years. And that may be what drove Neanderthals to extinction. Maybe we bred the Neanderthal right out of them. That it didn't have to do with us beating them out of existence with violence. Maybe we did it with good old-fashioned sex, absorbing their population through interbreeding. Many humans have Neanderthal DNA today. And based on the features of the child's skull, it appears, objectively, they say, as a hybrid. The bones at the base of the skull that position the neck, the bones of the inner ear, all typically Homo sapien, the mandible, typically Neanderthal, it has no chin, the dental arch is rounded and wide, the part that attaches to the skull base is much less vertical. All of these things make them think this is a hybrid. So, I don't know. Very interesting. There are other Neanderthal fossils excavated in this region that are significantly younger than the skull cave child. And that's the reason why earlier researchers rejected that this was a hybrid. But they say that they could finally put this whole argument to rest if they could possibly just pull some DNA from this skull. So far, and this is strange, no attempt has ever been made to analyze the DNA of the neurocranium. It's sufficiently preserved to allow the removal of bone, but it's destructive and the skull is unique, so they don't want to do that to it. So they're trying to categorize this child's skull as a paleodeme, a group of interbreeding individuals at the same place and time as opposed to a species. So it would be the skull paleodeme. Yeah, interesting. I think it's interesting. Shall we do the lotto of the day? Let's get to it. This merchant marine from New York won won a million, a big difference, $1 million lottery prize in Maryland. The merchant marine was at the port of Baltimore on an assignment and went to the 7-Eleven on Key Highway in Baltimore after finishing work a little early. Bought a ticket, little lucky 777 scratch off ticket, and then asked the store clerk to scan them. Bought 5 $20 tickets. So apparently feeling a little lucky. He said, they told me I won $100,000 and I was satisfied with that and I left. But he said when he told his crew of the good luck, they encouraged him to finish scratching off the ticket. And that, he said, unveiled another surprise. For the first time in my life, he said, I was floored. I couldn't believe it. I was speechless. It turns out that ticket was worth a cool $1. He says he plans to be very conservative with his winnings. Not like in the old days, winning $1 million, you have dreams of grandeur and mansions. Today, winning $1 million is like, oh, okay, maybe I won't have to super stress during retirement, but I'll probably still have to stress, right? He said, I plan to keep working. I want to be smart with it and save as much as I can for retirement. Well, there you go. Nice, though, after a day of work to take that. I'm going to do one more story before we travel a little bit, because it's going to get really hot, especially in parts of the Midwest. They've got a heat wave coming this week. And this is the first time I've ever seen this. Corn sweat. Did you know corn sweats? Corn sweat will make it feel even worse. The corn produces humidity. Moisture wicks off the plant on average of about 4,000 gallons per acre per day. And the added moisture from the cornfields increases the humidity, which raises the AccuWeather real field temperatures, making hot days feel even more intense. Blame the corn sweat. They say it's far more pronounced with corn than other plants. That a large oak tree releases about 100 gallons of water into the atmosphere each day, 40 times less than an acre of corn. That's a lot more than I thought. They say that on a normal day, the humidity in the cornfield could be worse. You step out of the corn and you go, wow, that's a breath of fresh air, that it's so humid in the cornfields. So there are parts of the Corn Belt, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, that are going to see temperatures above 100 degrees this week. And the forecasters say the effects of corn sweat will continue to amplify heat and humidity until the crops are harvested in early autumn. Have you heard of corn sweat? Am I just new here? I don't know. I'm going to the chat. Is corn sweat a thing? Corn sweat, says Tammy. I think my trees sweat a lot. Mama says, I wonder if that means that there will be more huitlacoche? The corn will dry up. I think they're watering that corn. I don't know. Eileen says, yeah, $1 million ain't what it used to be. Jules says, take that $1 million and move to Portugal, where your money actually will stretch farther. Yep. All right, it's time. Let's take a little trip. We'll go away from the corn sweat, and off we go to Travel Tuesday. And today we go to Florida. We're going to Pine Island, and there it is, right in the middle off Cape Coral. Pine Island, biggest island off the coast of Florida, is what I read. And look how pretty it is. Pine Island. I have some fun things to do on Pine Island in Florida. And here's why I had mangoes on the brain. You'll see in just a moment. First thing we can do is visit the Pine Island Sound Aquatic Preserve. Super cool. It's this stretch of untouched protected water where you can spend a few days kayaking and paddling and wading. There's lots of campsites near Pine Island. They say visiting and seeing the Pine Island Sound is one of the top things to do in Pine Island, Florida. You can book a pontoon boat or a cruise. They like Captain Jack's, a popular local tour guide. And you can check out the bird life around this area as well. Birds hang around the salt marshes and the mangrove swamps, and the views are amazing. Lots of water-based activities. Visiting this spot, one of the best things to do in Pine Island, Florida, the Pine Island Sound Aquatic Preserve. But a little ways away from there, why not go fishing? You might not want to go fishing in the preserve, but you can check it out. Pine Island is one of Florida's last remaining fishing villages, and the locals here are extremely it's very important to them to maintain what they say is an authentic community feel. And they have this bridge. It's called the Matlacha Pass Bridge, and they say it's one of the best spots in the area for fishing. It's known for its trout, cobia, and snapper. So they say if you go out there, you'll find professional fishermen in these parts. They have a mandate they've had in place for years that prevents extensive net fishing. So recreational fishing fishermen, fisherwomen will have a free pass. They say it's really cool to do. All right, something else pretty fun is called the Calusa Heritage Trail. It is a 1-mile nature walk that takes you on a journey through Florida's exciting history, from the Native American culture to key archaeological sites around Pine Island. That sounds fun. Only a mile long. They say it's one of the things to do in Pine Island, Florida that doesn't require a tour guide. They have signposts that are excellent. That you can get a tour guide to go with you, but they say it's not necessary. So follow the trail and learn about Florida's First Nation. Again, it's the Calusa Heritage Trail at the Randall Research Center. And I do have some video of it. That's why I haven't shown a picture because it's video and not photographic. But let's take a look. Let's see if we can't hear what she has to say.
Hi, I invite you to join me in learning about the Smith Mound of the Calusa here at Randall Research Center. Follow me.
We will.
Hi,
Thank you.
I'm Blonsky, and welcome to the Randall Research Center. We are affiliated with the University of Florida and the Florida Museum of Natural History. I'm here at the Calusa Heritage Trail, which is located on the western shore of Pine Island, the largest island in the
Like a nice flat walk.
4 hours south of Gainesville. The Randall Research Center encompasses roughly 70 acres at the heart of Pineland, a massive shell mound archaeological site. At the end of this path, through thickets of ancient saw palmettos, beyond the waters of an encircling canal, lies the remains of a sacred mound once prominent in the daily life of the Calusa Indians, the most powerful native people on the Gulf Coast.
Well, that looks kind of cool. I can get behind that. Absolutely. Let's continue our tour of Pine Island with the next thing on the list. And that has to do, pardon me, as I try to figure it all out over here. After we leave our little mile-long walk and have seen the history, let's go to the Tarpon Lodge. It's technically a hotel, but it's home to supposedly one of the best restaurants in the area. So it gets a 4-star rating, and reservations are a must. The Tarpon Lodge is what it is called. Here I have a picture of the Tarpon Lodge, and there it is. Go there for a little meal, shall we? Mm. They say you must order a slice of the incredible key lime pie on the menu before you leave. That it would be blasphemous not to do this. Tarpon Lodge, in addition to its incredible restaurant, is a fun place to do other things. They have uh, rooms there that are really nice, and they have the famous Tarpon Lodge. They say it's one of the best things to do in Pine Island in Florida by a mile. So the next place we're going on Pine Island is the Pineland Marina. Great place to get a little boat or to just hang out and watch the boats go by. They say even if you don't have the cash to hire a yacht, it's really fun to spend the afternoon. You could sip on cocktails and watch the boats go by. If you can't afford to rent a boat, they have 6 daily scheduled trips. These boats have capacities between 16 and 49 passengers. So you can bring a big group with you. Since we have a pretty big group, how many do we have right now? 60 people? Yeah, we need a big boat. We're going to need a bigger boat. Island Girl Charters has dolphin watching, shelling, and birding trips. They say it's glorious. It's fun to spot the wildlife, and heading out to the Pineland Marina to rent a boat and go out on the water is one of the best things to do at Pine Island. Then let's head over to the Randall Research Center. It's a program run by the Florida Museum of Natural History, teaches visitors all about the people of the estuary who once fished in the waters thousands of years ago. So there's another self-guided trail. You can get a taste of the state's history. Again, it's the uh, Randall Research Center on Pine Island, Florida. And then let's do a little shopping because it's a great place to get some artwork. Look how beautiful that painting is. The Matlacha Menagerie has local artwork, gorgeous jewelry. You can spend some time looking for fine art at the Bokeelia Art Gallery. Lots of hot spots to shop and check out local art. And here's why I had mango on the brain earlier. They have on Pine Island, Florida, a mango factory. It's a to-do on the Pine Island list. They sell what is thought to be the freshest, juiciest, most delicious mangoes in the world. They're in this place called Bokeelia, and it's listed as one of the best things to do on Pine Island. So it's an activity that allows you to take a bunch of fun pictures. They have mangoes that are almost as big as your head. So if you like mangoes, or even if you just are interested, they say it's one of the things you need to do on Pine Island, Florida, is check out the mango factory. By the way, Bokeelia is an interesting part of Pine Island. A lot of mobile homes there. Also a lot of popular restaurants on the fishing docks. There's impressive beaches, acres of palm trees. It's kind of a small town little atmosphere. Pretty fun. And the last thing is Matlacha. We talked about the bridge, the Matlacha Bridge in this area. Here's Matlacha. Look at that. There's a little hut on the beach. That's a vacation right there. This is a very artsy place. You can do everything in Matlacha from dolphin spotting to buying postcards while you're walking through the charming streets. There are local boutiques. There's the Museum of the Islands. They call it MODI. The Matlacha Community Park right on the beachfront. There's a gorgeous pier as well. They say you probably won't need hours here, but it's still one of the best things to do in Pine Island, especially if you're a first-time visitor. So there you go. Just a little jaunt to Pine Island, Florida. It looks like a really pretty place to go visit. Maybe for a weekend, a long weekend on Pine Island. Go check it out. Again, there's the map right off Cape Coral. Pine Island, Florida. Sure is pretty. And I gotta go see the mangoes. The next time we're all down to visit Wes, we're off to Pine Island. All right. Thank you for heading over to Florida with me on this Travel Tuesday. If you have any ideas, please email me. Kim at theafterparty.live is the best place to send me a message. Maybe you have ideas about where we should go next week. Or maybe you've got a waterfall you're thinking about for tomorrow, or a really cool cave. I got a message from Wes about a cave that I'm going to use on Monday. But if you have any ideas, please send them on over. Kim at theafterparty.live. It's always nice to hear from you. That's the show for today, my people. We've got a good show for you on the Mark Thompson Show tomorrow, and that includes John Rothman and Belinda Weymouth on the Mark Thompson Show. And then here on the After Party Live, we've got some relaxing waterfalls. So I do hope that you will join me for all of that. But until we meet again, I hope you make it a really good rest of your Tuesday. Wish me luck. I'll probably be doing some more driving around with my new driver, and hopefully I'll make it back tomorrow in one piece. All right, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Yay! Thank you. And thank you, Teacher Lori. Always good to see your face, even if it's just a picture of you. Hi, Zero Sums Mom. Please click like and subscribe. Woohoo! Welcome to the board. Welcome to the